On the night he was arrested, Jesus was led from the garden directly to Annas. Here he was questioned, and the Roman soldiers who arrested him were dismissed. The trial itself was to be held before Caiaphas, high priest of the people of Israel. Here, surely the Lord would find justice, but in this Caiaphas are embodied all the human combinations found in men. We find a proud man, self-centered, aggressive, envious. As a boy, Caiaphas attended one of the many synagogue schools in Jerusalem, for the Jewish people believed strongly in religious training for the young. Solomon had said, "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it." As Caiaphas grew older, he studied for the priesthood. Surely he had no idea then of ever being high priest and president of the Sanhedrin, the Jewish council. But Caiaphas met the right people. He went with the right crowd. He joined the party known as the Sadducees. These were men to his liking. They were practical. They didn't believe in resurrection or in angels. They believed man found or made his destiny on earth. Caiaphas had an able teacher. During his 9 years in office, Annas, father-in-law of Caiaphas, had built an efficient, smooth-running machine. Even after Annas was finally removed from office, the machine itself went on. It was headed by 5 of Annas' sons and by Caiaphas. About 12 years before the crucifixion of Jesus, Caiaphas had put on the high priestly robes, and things had pretty much come his way. During the first 9 years, Caiaphas and his party did quite well. There was money, plenty of it. They rented booths to money changers. They sold animals for the temple sacrifices. And while these were needed services, the corruption began to overshadow the service. Religion had become big business, and Caiaphas would get from it all he could. Its real meaning had long ago been lost to the organization. Then one day a threat appeared to Caiaphas' empire. A young man named Jesus came into the temple at Passover. He drove the money changers out. Never had anyone dared to challenge the party. The Sadducees were furious. It seemed this Jesus was quite popular with the people. They followed him everywhere. They listened to his every word. This wouldn't do. He even cast doubt on the leaders. He suggested they repent, and he spoke with a disturbing familiarity of God as his Father. When, with the raising of Lazarus, the popularity of Jesus increased tremendously, the leaders despaired. It was decided that Jesus should die. All that was left was to find the time and place. Then came what we now call Palm Sunday, and the triumphant entrance of Jesus into Jerusalem. Why, even the children hailed him. When Jesus cleansed the temple again, the leaders wondered frantically to what lengths this man would go, or would let the crowd go. Then finally came the chance they waited for. One of the disciples of Jesus offered to lead them to where Jesus might be found alone, and all he wanted was 30 pieces of silver. Thursday evening, they made the arrest. He was taken from Annas directly to court. Caiaphas pressed for action, for a decision. Surely he knew that this was all highly irregular and illegal. He knew, too, that the sentence of death could not be pronounced on the day the trial ended. Caiaphas had no right to ask Jesus to incriminate himself, but the leaders had decided he had to die, and all they needed were 2 people to fasten a crime on him, any crime that could carry the death penalty. They found witnesses, quite a few. These witnesses didn't help much, though, because they couldn't agree on anything. Caiaphas tried to bluff his way out of the situation. "Have you no answer to make? What about all this evidence against you?" Jesus answered nothing. Caiaphas had to take direct and drastic action. He could apply the sacred oath of testimony, under which every pious Jew must speak. If Caiaphas could get Jesus to say that he was the Son of God, everyone in the Sanhedrin would condemn him. Caiaphas also knew that if he got Jesus to say that he was the Messiah, it would affect Pilate. No loyal Roman governor dared ignore a threat to Rome, real or imagined. Therefore, Caiaphas used the oath. I command you by the living God that you tell us whether you are the Christ, the Son of God. What would Jesus answer? What could he answer? His lips moved, and he answered, "Thou hast said, I am." The strategy worked. Pretending outraged horror, Caiaphas tore his clothes. "He has spoken blasphemy. What think ye?" And of course they all found him guilty. And with proud satisfaction, Caiaphas ended the trial. While the so-called trial was going on in the palace, the servants in the courtyard had built a fire to warm themselves against the night chill. It was quite apparent to the servants that the Sanhedrin was against Jesus. This determined the sympathy of the company around the fire. Perhaps they could find someone on his side. This might give rise to an argument, maybe even a brawl. At least it would relieve the dullness of the evening. Suddenly the girl whose duty it was to admit people to the house turned to one of the men sitting near the fire. "Aren't you one of this man's disciples?" she asked. His answer came sharply, "Woman, I don't know him. I don't know what you're talking about." The small talk continued around the fire as Peter walked into the shadows to wait to see how the trial would end. Peter relaxed and walked again back to the fire. Another servant girl asked him if he was a member of Jesus' company. Again, Peter denied quickly, vehemently, and swore that he didn't know this man. After an hour or so, the soldiers and servants began questioning Peter again. "You talk with a Galilean accent. Surely you're one of them. Didn't I see you in the garden?" And Peter answered with cursing and swearing, "I do not know that man." Impetuous, devoted, weak yet strong, Peter had been outraged at the Lord's warning. "Before the cock crows twice, you will deny me 3 times. If I should have to die with you, I will not deny you in any way," he had insisted. There was no doubt about Peter's love and sincerity, yet he denied him. When the cock crowed the 2nd time, Peter looked up from his vehement denial, and looking, saw Jesus. There was time only for a look, but that was enough. That look was all Peter needed. He fled and wept. Oh, it's easy for us to condemn Peter. Time removes us from the circumstances of his denial. Peter's biggest trouble was that he was too self-confident. He succumbed to the arch sin, pride. Pride affects us all. Young people in possession of little knowledge often feel that they know everything. Older people often boast of their accomplishments with pride. Look at Peter, the boastful bragger, wound up as a blustery denier of Jesus. But he learned from his bitter experience. He shared this lesson with us when he wrote, "Be clothed with humility, for God resisteth the proud, and giveth grace to the humble."